So today we are going to continue with some other groups of unwholesome factors. And so let's start by paying respect to the Buddha and to all the teachers.
So we will see today Gantha and Upādāna, the knots and the attachment. So remembering all our teachers, or the line of teachers, the ones that are alive, direct and indirect, and all of them, their teachers, many generations back, all the way to the Buddha. With gratitude. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Homage to the sublime, to the victorious one, to the totally self-enlightened one. Remember all the Sangha. Thank you very much. And let's start today, my dear family. Today we will see a little, not warning, but just let's get ready. We will continue seeing the families or the groupings of how the Buddha taught the negativities of the mind. In this case, we will see the knots, mental knots, and the clingings of the mind. I think we will go through the akusala groupings, then later we'll go to the neutral and wholesome one. We will see all of them. The beauty is in the structure that the Buddha always taught: avoid doing bad. This is what we need to know first. Clean the house, then decorate it with goodness. So we continue today. Session 66, wow.
Okay, so last week we have seen that there are these four, which is attachment to sense desire, attachment to continued existence, wrong view, and ignorance. These four have three names. They are called asawas, cankers, some things that have been us for a long time, fermented, a sore, a wound.
Fermentation of the mind, making it a little bit rotten.
And they are also called floods. They are dangerous, and they can drag beings down to the woeful states.
And it inundates our minds whenever these negativities, whenever present is, we can know in experience how difficult it is to take their water out, to take all their... We drown in it. We drown in desire. We drown in wrong views and ignorance. It cuts our abilities, temporarily.
Then also it is called yoga, bond or yoke, because it binds beings to samsara. Like this yoke that is in the ox cart. Then once they are attached to it, then it is not possible for them to go away. So we stay
in the round, like the bull in the molino. How you could call molino? The place where they grind the meal. The place where they grind the grains. Even the bull is very strong and powerful. When the yoke is there, we are tied to samsara in the same way. That was one of the ways, because of our own attachments, actually, our own desire for sensual pleasure mostly, and attachment to continued existence. We continue rolling here in the place where the existence is. It makes sense.
Okay, so today we are going to see another group, another name. So the first one we're going to look at today is called Gantha. It's called knot. It's called knot because it ties beings to samsara.
To the round of continued existences.
Again and again and again.
Born, grow, work, get old, sickness, and die. Again and again. I'm born and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth, and again.
So this 9 Gantha knots or ties, they are of 4 kinds. So today we are going to look at these 4 kinds, which are a different family than the previous one that we saw last week. Okay, so let's go for the first one. Everybody ready?
Everybody ready?
Yes.
Ready, yes.
Okay, so the first one is called, the first knot is called Abhidhamma Gantha. So avijja means covetousness, gantha means knot, so the knot of covetousness. And here we see this kaya also. This kaya here, kaya directly it is translated as body, but actually here it means the physical and mental bodies, and these bodies also in the sense of a group. Not just like, not the physical body, no, it's the sense of a group.
As a grouping,
as a group,
kaya
yes.
as a grouping, as the body of something.
Yeah, so we can say that the knot of the covetousness that ties these two bodies, mental body and physical body.
The grouping of our mind and the grouping of our body. It ties it to samsara. And
or it ties them together.
Yeah,
also.
covetousness also can be translated, or avijja can be as greed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I want something, wishing something, the knot of wishing.
Mm-hmm. Wanting.
The knot of wanting.
Yes. So
sounds bad.
Previously, yeah, it sounds like it can tie us, right? So yes. Previously, in chapter 5, we have seen that avijja, covetousness, is a mental unwholesome action, like meaning wanting the thing of the others, not wanting something better, wanting the one thing of the other.
Even if we have, as we can see in these images, even if we want the other ones, we want something better than we already have. Mm-hmm. That is the kind of blindness of the mind when avijja is present. It knows no limits.
Yeah, so this is what we have seen, the meaning of avijja in chapter 5. But here in this this avijja is actually more than that. It's actually any kind of lobha or any kind of attachment, whether it is a bodily action, a verbal action, or a mental action. In this case, all are considered as avijja. So this knot, the knot of covetousness is wider than that avijja that we have seen in chapter 5. It includes all lobha, basically.
Well, covetousness is a little bit more like wanting what the other one has, which is something common in
that is
in
in
human.
Chapter 5 definition.
Yeah.
Therefore.
Okay.
Yes. Therefore, specifically in chapter 5, we defined it as only the mental unwholesome action.
But here
it means all.
All physical, all kinds of covetous verbal actions. When we say something, wishing to get something in return, or when we do something or think something, wishing to get something, impulsed or impelled by the force of wanting, desire, to possess.
Yes, so this is the first knot. So let's go to the second one. And the second knot is called Vyavada Kaya Ganda. So Vyavada means it will, and Kaya, that ties the two bodies, Gantha, the knot. So the knot of ill will that ties the two bodies.
Malevolence, abusiveness.
So this Vyavada Kaya Gantha here, the knot of ill will, is actually dosa, but
in ultimate reality.
Yes, but again, it is includes everything from the subtle form to the gross form. So such as we have seen previously, even boredom,
uneasiness, annoyance, dislike, resentment, irritation, repulsion, fear, anger, detestation, hostility, ferocity, rage, and hatred from
etc.
etc. But just putting them kind of in, if we could have a enojometro or dosa meter, we will have, and dosa will include from the slightest, even boredom, just to be bored or worried a little bit, worried that I wish something not to happen, until total madness, rage, hatred, and violence that easily, whenever it arrives to such extent, it can harm verbally, physically, all the way of killing, and not just one people, many at once. So it can be, we should contemplate the whole spectrum in Vyavada of dosa, the ultimate reality. Yes. Just as a reminder, I think we saw it in the chapter 2 when we saw the ingredients, but just as a reminder.
Yeah, so we see that here when we talk about the group of the unwholesome things, then usually it is not so specific about one thing, because remember we are talking about that all these terms you can find also in suttas, no? So in suttas it is not so detailedly separated. This exactly is a mental action, or this exactly is a what kind of action. So it is more wide and more general usage. So therefore, when we see these terms in chapter 7 and these groups, or in the suttas, then when we see Vyavada or when we see Avijja, covetousness or ill will, then we have to include all kinds of lobas. Although in Abhidhamma specifically, it says that it is a mental action like this, like that, or ill will, and more specifically like this, like that. But here, because this is general terms that we are looking at, so we have to include all kinds of dosa and all kinds
all
of
the
loba.
Spectrum of aversion and desire.
When we see these terms. Okay, so that's the second one, the knot of ill will that ties the two bodies. Then now we come to another one, which will have a little bit more explanation. So that third one is called Sila Bata Paramasa Kaya Gantha. So the knot of the wrong understanding of practice. So
the
here,
knot, I repeat again, Sila Bata Paramasa is the knot of the wrong understanding of practice, of inner practice, inner development. There are some kind of wrong views and perversions, and we will see now the explanation. There are some moments when we think we are doing good to ourselves mistakenly, practicing something that we think is going to liberate us from suffering, but actually is binding us with this knot deeper onto worldliness and more suffering because of the seeds that are planted through this kind of practices. Not all practices leads to somewhere, but not all practices, as we know, lead to freedom from suffering.
Yes.
So
okay.
this the Buddha was very specific about this one.
So let's take a look of this, the knot of the wrong understanding of practice. We will need a little bit more explanation here. So Sila Bata Paramasa. So Sila Bata is two words, Sila and Vata. So when they join together, these two words, then it becomes Sila Bata because of the grammatically called Sila Bata and Paramasa. So Sila here does not mean morality. Here it means habit or behavior,
which is related to morality. When we develop the good kind of morality, that's why it's called Sila, generally refer on the good side. Here is just on the neutral side, which is just a habit or behavior. In this case, Sila Bata can be wrong behavior as well.
Yes, so a habit and a behavior. Vata means practice, and Paramasa means a wrong understanding or misconception. So Sila means habit or behavior, Vata means practice, Paramasa means the wrong understanding or misconception. So that means the wrong understanding that certain kind of behavior and practice can lead to the purification of mind and to the end of all suffering.
Specifically in the terms of freedom from suffering. No, the Buddha always gave that
the final goal.
The final goal clear.
Yes.
So
this word, now we have seen the words, exactly what it means, so we understand how it is the knot of the wrong understanding of practice. But most of the time, when you see this Silabata Paramasa, it is very generally translated in English as adherence to rites and rituals.
So, yes, my dear family, you may have, I'm sure we listen less the Pali, but this is the common translation that Bhikkhu Bodhi, for example, in most of the translation he has done in English, which are a lot, this is the term that is used and needs a little bit of explanation. It is also right. So Sila Bata Paramasa means the blind adherence to rites and rituals. We think that by doing something we will get some benefit, but finally if we don't have the meaning or are doing the right conditions, maybe we may not get the benefit that was promised with a rite and ritual if it is empty of meaning.
So Sayadaw Silananda, he said that the English translation of adherence to rites and rituals is not very satisfactory because it does not cover the whole idea, the whole of what these words mean. So therefore we needed to see the words by itself. And now we will see a little bit more in details of what does that, what is it mean by Buddha, by the Buddha.
What the Buddha meant. Yeah.
Yes, so we will think that, so how do people have wrong idea or wrong understanding of the practice? So for example, like what kind of practice or how do they practice, no? So there is a sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya called Kukura Watika Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya number 57. So there is a conversation between Seniya and Puna and the Buddha. Is recorded in this sutta. So we'll tell you about this sutta,
the conversation.
So it happens that during the time of the Buddha in India, there are all kinds of spiritual practice, just like even nowadays, there are many kinds of different practice. So this person, Seniya, he is an ascetic, and he practiced the dog practice. So what is called the dog practice means that he lives and he eats and he walks and he does and he behaves like everything like a dog. He practiced in that way. And Puna, another person, another ascetic, he practiced the cow practice. So he behaved like a cow. He walked like a cow, eat like a cow, and he does everything like a cow. So,
and even it sounds unbelievable as it sounds, in India there are still some practices. Even in America we have some kind of practices that people, because of spiritual development, they act like animals. They pretend to be animals. For example, with all respect, in our Latin culture, Latin American culture, the fact of dancing like a bear or like another animal actually is a little bit referred to this. People needs to be very clear. But in the times of India, and even nowadays, some of these practices, because as you know, the cow is considered a holy, a sacred animal. So people, it goes a little bit beyond just not killing the cow, which is great, not to do so, but to think that they will purify their mind by bringing the kind of their human consciousness or their practices as the animals practice. Believe it or not, in the time of the Buddha and even in the present, in India, there are still some practices that people try to purify and cultivate their minds by behaving like other animals. So it is not rare to be seen.
Yes, sometimes also humans. People have idea that the animals, they are simple, they don't cheat, and then they don't tell lies, or so animals, like some people have this idea that they are pure in a way. So we behave like the animals. Maybe we also get purified in somehow, no? Because we act like the animal does honestly or something like that.
Yes, people need to have very clear why do they do so, because we can see in the traditional dances many times there is a trying to imitate animals. So the teacher says many cultures in China also, the Chinese people.
The story of Seniya and Puna.
They also dance like a dragon, etc., etc. So the thing is, my dear family, if it is a cultural thing and we are clear about it, so be it. It's fine. Culturally, it's fine. But if we are placing our trust that kind of practice is going to purify our mind and makes us wiser, the teacher says, the teachers raise their hand because they say, look, our human consciousness is much more developed than animals. We all feel, we all respect each other. But if we bring our kind of consciousness to the behavior that an animal would just react out of instinct, we are in fact willfully bringing our possibilities of consciousness, bringing it a little bit notches down, taking it away from wisdom and getting it closer to instinct. So we must be clear about it. So
yes. So do you want to know the story about Seniya and Puna?
What happened with the ones that practice like a dog and like a cow?
So Seniya and Puna, they know that the Buddha was came to their area in the Korean country at that time. So Seniya and Puna, they came to visit the Buddha, and then they pay respect to the Buddha. And then after that, after paying respect, and then they came to one side. And Seniya, he groped himself, like, how do you say that? He rubbed himself and he sat like a dog.
Yeah, we can imagine. Maybe he turned 2 times and then lie down beside the Buddha and stay beside him.
And then Puna also, so so he behaved like a cow, and he stayed in the side of the Buddha.
Standing and behaving like a cow because they were doing their practice. They were actually
practicing.
Yes.
So Puna, and then he talked. He asked the Buddha. He said, "Venerable Sir, my dear friend Puna." Puna said so. Puna said, "Venerable Sir, my dear friend Senia, he is a very he's a very dedicated dog practitioner. So
he's a very good dog practitioner. Yeah.
He does his practice is not easy. He does everything like a dog. He sleep like a dog. He eat like a dog. This is a very difficult practice. So Venerable Sir, I would like to know what will happen to him when he passed away.
Oh, don't ask that to the Buddha.
To him after this practice.
Yes.
Then the Buddha said, Puna, don't ask me this question.
You remember this formula? When questions were asked to the Buddha, and Buddha says, dear friend, please don't ask me that question. But generally people, if they ask 3 times, the Buddha never denied to answer. And then, as you can say, Puna asked, Venerable Sir, what will happen after death if with this practice? And then please don't ask me again. So the 3rd time, then the Buddha says, generally when it was the outcome, you can imagine the outcome. Then?
Yes, okay. So Bhante fast forwarded the 3 times. Then now we go to the Buddha's answer.
It's fine. Just fast forward.
Fast forward, yes.
Okay.
So then the Buddha said, Puna, Senia, when he passed away, since he practiced it wholeheartedly, the dog practiced, when he will be reborn, then he will be reborn in the company of dogs.
In the company of dogs. Very elegantly, the Buddha said so. He will be reborn in the company of dogs. Remember, my dear family, that whatever we do and practice, the mind gets inclined, it goes
like towards the dog, like he behaved always like a dog. So very, very logically, if the mind is always inclined to that kind of lifestyle, that kind of practice, then he will be reborn as a dog.
Nature does not cheat. We need to be very clear what we ask from nature, because we often get.
But then the Buddha continued, it's not finished yet.
Yes.
Then the Buddha said, but if he has the idea that by this dog practice, this is going to purify his mind and he's going to get enlightened, if he has this kind of idea, then he will be either reborn into the Niraya, which is the lowest realm, or into the animals realm. One of these 2, because of this wrong view. If he just acted like a dog and he just do like that, then his mind is inclined to do the dog style.
As a joke,
he will be reborn among the dogs. But if he has this idea that this kind of dog practice is going to lead him to enlightenment, is going to purify his mind, is going to take away all the defilements, then this is a wrong view. And then in that way, then he will be more serious. He will be either reborn into the Niraya, or he will be reborn into the animal realms. Okay, so then the story continues. Then Senia cried, and then the Buddha told Puna, and said, Puna, you see, I told you not to ask me. Now Senia is crying. Then Senia said, Venerable Sir, I don't cry actually because of what you said. I cry because I have spent all my life doing this kind of practice, which is not right. Then he said, how about my friend, the Venerable Sir? My friend Puna, he practiced the cow practice. What is going to be of him when he passed away? Then exactly the same. The Buddha explained that he will either become as a cow or in a Niraya if he has this wrong idea.
Or be born as a cow.
Yes, so after that, then the Buddha explained the teachings to these 2 ascetics very briefly, I would say, because this is the important is the teaching. Then the Buddha explained that there are 4 kinds of actions in this world. The dark actions that give dark results, as we know, unwholesome actions. Then the Buddha said that there are those who do good action, bright actions that give bright results. So the ones that do wholesome actions and be reborn in the wholesome place, a place
wholesome environment. They planted the seeds by themselves. Then, that's why it gave that.
Yes, and then there are people who do both bright and dark actions and be reborn in a place where both dark and bright results are ripened, just as human beings.
We know many like that.
Yes. And then there are those who who neither do bright nor dark result and will not be reborn into the dark or actually will never be reborn again. So that means that the person who practiced to get liberated, they don't plant seeds anymore.
Beyond
so they
kusala
don't do
and
neither
akusala.
kusala nor akusala
Kriya,
anymore.
you remember?
So
functional consciousness, they don't plant seeds anymore. Yeah.
So then they will not be reborn again, no?
Ojo, they are beautiful in essence. A person that is enlightened only do good because he took already the root, the negative roots, but his good actions, they do not make karma anymore. They're not planting. That person, when it is enlightened, he will get the fruits of the previous karma in this life or previous karma, like whatever he planted before, but he won't be planted new. That's why the fruit of a new rebirth cannot be given, because the plantation, how you say, the planting of the seeds have stopped.
Yes. Okay. So to finish with the story, after the Buddha,
I have one comment at the end of the story.
Yeah. So after the Buddha finished with this teaching, then Puna and Seniya, then they understood, and then they said, "Venerable Sir, you have showed the way of the Dhamma, just like turning something that is upside down upright, no?
Something that was algo que estaba volteado, you put it in the right position."
So Puna, the cow practitioner, he said to the Buddha, "Please accept me as your lay disciple. From now on, I will practice the Dhamma." And Seniya, he said, "Venerable Sir, I would like to be ordained as a bhikkhu and follow their teachings." Then later on, after that, Venerable Seniya, after some practice, after some time, when he became a fully ordained bhikkhu, then he practiced and he became an arahant, actually, Seniya.
So
okay, so
possible.
that was the sutta that you can find in Majjhima Nikaya.
Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 57.
So before I finish with it and I complete this.
Yes, I have one about dogs. You
okay.
have something that is about dogs. Do you want to go to the other one?
Not yet. I just close up the
okay.
So this Sila Bhatta Paramasa, this practice, not only just dog and cow practice, no, there are different kinds of practice in the time of the Buddha in India. So there are so many different kinds of practice that people think that by means of this practice, like torturing the body or whatever it may be, other types of practice, by this practice I will purify the mind and get enlightened. So with this kind of wrong idea, that they hold on to this wrong idea, that is the wrong understanding of practice,
or the adherence to rite and rituals, things that might be entertaining or inspiring, but actually are not bringing us closer to wisdom or making peace with nature. Now, my dear family, I know we are all dog and pet lovers, so I want to share one experience I had in the monastery. This was like maybe in 2012 or so. I just arrived to the monastery. I was not wearing the robes. It was the first day or second day that I just arrived to the monastery. So as we all know, we are empathetic beings. So generally, for example, you might have realized that when you are talking to a baby, we take the position and speech of a baby, in order to communicate to that being, yes? And then if we are dealing with a different person, an adult or somebody in the market or somebody in the university, we can understand that our mind adapts to it well. That is very good, but also the teachers say, make us a warning, especially dealing with animals. So what happens was the following. I will tell you how I came to start thinking about this. I arrived to the monastery, and in the monastery there are many dogs, because it's like a sanctuary, the only place that they're not kicked and they're being fed. So sometimes many monasteries have even a problem of overpopulation of dogs, because the dogs are there and then many becomes, and etc. etc. So I come out, I was meditating, I just arrived to the monastery, and I started playing with one dog, and I did what we all know how to do. Well, I'm sorry to make this, but sometimes I used to do that in the past a lot. I was kind of making empathy and contacting with the dog and playing in the dog way. Well, Seadu Tejaniya was walking in the back. He was coming and he saw me playing with the dog. So as soon as he's quite big, as you have seen, he's quite corpulent. So as soon as I see the red big bunch of human beside me, and then he speaks this tone of voice he used very seldom. He said, "Do not do that. Do not bring your man low to his level." And then I'm like this, He turned to me, look into the eyes. If you die right now, I don't want to tell you where your consciousness will reconnect, because your consciousness is right there.
You
will become a dog. If you die right now, playing with your consciousness connected with that. So I was shocked more than the story, what I'm telling you, what the content of the teaching was, the way he said it is serious. Now, my dear family, later on I spoke with him and we make it better. It doesn't mean that we will not play with animals, not at all. What the teachings are pointing, what the teachers are pointing is that we do not bring our consciousness to their level. If we want to play with them, let's inspire them to come up, because they are already down. They are already in the second. We are in the number 5, no realm. They're already in the second. So in any way that we can, yes, we play with them. Love, share love. That has nothing to do with sharing love or not, and compassion and friendship. But what we need to do, the best favor we will do to both, is trying in any way possible to communicate in a way that we let them know that good is good and wrong is, they are good and wrong, and there are some, I don't know how we can do it and manage, but the point is, let's not bring our consciousness to their level, but play in a way as we will invite any child to come, bring it up. So whenever it happens to us that we are paying respects here, and often the dogs feel it and they come close and sit beside, we do say, touch the dog and say, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Anyway, hopefully the animal can sense something and their consciousness can move out. I just wanted to make this clear, because I know we all love animals, but just in short, let's not bring our consciousness lower, but keeping it high, and invite the other being in any way possible through love and care and friendship to come out. So hopefully they see goodness in goodness and they can come out of that realm as soon as possible. And maybe they will be our human friends one of these days. So, well, I just want to say this. It's important and the teachers are serious about it. That time, Sel Terenia was quite emphatic. Later on, if there are some questions we can explore, we continue.
Okay, so
Yes.
So we have talked about the dog and cow practice, and we may think that, oh, anyway, I don't do dog practice, I don't do cow practice, so that's this has nothing to do with me. We might think so, no? But actually, Sayadaw Usilananda, he also said that it can actually be extended to any kind of practice, even they are good practice, the practice of sila, morality, the practice of generosity, or praying, chanting, or anything we can think of. If we think only by doing generosity, or only by chanting, only by praying, or only by keeping morality, that alone can bring us to the purification of mind. That can also be considered as the wrong understanding of the practice, because that is not the only thing. We must practice morality, generosity, stability of mind,
meditation,
and vipassana,
and wisdom, cultivation of
looking at the reality as it really is, in order to get liberation, the Noble Eightfold Path. No? So without any of this, that is not complete. So thinking that only doing one thing or only chanting will bring us there, then that kind of
it will calm the mind, and it will many qualities can be developed. Concentration, contemplation, many things will be. It's not, but it won't be enough. So all these kind of practices, we can become, especially good practice, but can become a ritual just with doing without knowing. As very often I learned many rituals that I didn't know the meaning, the deepest meaning or the benefit of it, and I did practice them. So just to be careful, my dear family, to know clearly what qualities of mind are being developed as we practice.
Yes, so sila vata paramasa, literally that means the wrong understanding of some kind of behavior or practice that can lead to the purification of the mind. No? But since it is always translated into the adherence or attachment to rites and rituals, then we can also maybe understand in this way that some people they perform some kind of rituals and ceremonies and thinking that can lead to enlightenment. But anyway, when you see this translation, you know the deeper meaning, that it comes from the dogs and cow practice, all kinds of other practice.
My dear family, I want to touch base with everybody. Everybody okay? I know we touch some areas right now. We might have some practices. Everybody okay? I would like to see everybody okay? I'm sorry, there was no bad intention or not need to criticize. We just need to talk about, and we are passing the information as it is. All respect and all that, let's make right choices. I know our culture might have many things. I'm sorry if something was not of liking.
Okay, so let's continue, and then we will go to, so we finished with the knot of the wrong understanding of practice. Then now let's go to the last knot that ties the beings to samsara. This one is called idam satcha vinivesa kaya gantha, the knot of holding a wrong view to be the only truth. So now we will take a little look into these words again, and then we will understand it a little bit more clearly. Idam satcha abhinivesa kaya gantha. So idam means this, satcha means truth, abhinivesa means wrong view or wrong understanding. So that means taking a wrong view, taking a wrong view and believing that that alone is the only truth and all the other things are wrong, false. So that kind of idea or behavior is called the knot of holding a wrong view to be the only truth.
Taking a wrong view to be the only truth. Starting with wrong view, it's already wrong from the beginning. The ignorance is playing its tricks, and we totally fall into the fantasy of believing for it to be totally true.
Yes, that can be like, for example, remember we talked about many kinds of wrong views, that thinking that there is no karma, then that there is no result, and whatever we do, it's okay, then we can, so thinking that this is true, and this is the only truth, all other things are on this. So this is a little bit worse than only thinking that it is true, because you think that it's true, and
But
the
it is
only
wrong.
truth and all the other
And it
ideas
is
is wrong. So this is this kind of knot.
What will be considered to be wrong? Something that is not based in something that exists in ultimate reality. Generally concepts. Yeah, a little bit.
Yes, so that comes to the end of the four kind of knots. So just as a little bit summary, let's see, what was it? The first one was the knot of covetousness, avijja, so any kind of lobha, any kind of attachment. Then the second one is the knot of ill will, so any kind of dosa, from small one
to the big one.
The third one is the knot of the wrong understanding of practice, thinking that some kind of practice or behavior alone will lead to purification of the mind and freedom of all suffering. Then we have the last one, the knot of holding a wrong view to be the only truth. So that comes to the four kinds of knots that tie beings to samsara. So here it goes, the four kinds of knots. And now let's take a little bit.
If you wish to take a screenshot, this can summarize what we have seen.
So let's take a little bit of their ultimate reality. So you can switch on your mic if you wish. So let's think, what is the ultimate reality of the knot of covetousness? Lobha, yes, right? Yes,
totally
so
lobha.
we already said all kinds of lobha, no? All kinds of lobha. So how about the knot of ill will? Dosa, yes, quite obviously. Then the knot of wrong understanding of practice? Moha, okay. Something else?
Or DT, yes, wrong view. Yes. Which is in it's based on moha.
Yes, every unwholesome.
I actually have moha.
Unwholesome mental. Consciousness always associated with moha, no? But in this case, specifically, DT.
It will be DT, the wrong view. Both the last two, no?
Last two, yes. So both holding the idea of the wrong view to be the only truth, as well as the wrong understanding of practice. Both of them are wrong view. Because not DT. Only just the wrong understanding, plus they hold on to it. So yes. That is lobha group, no? So ultimate reality of these four is lobha, dosa, and DT.
Yes.
Okay, until here we okay?
Everybody okay? Yes. Clear, no? Okay. Good. Interesting, no? How the Buddha explained in so many ways, like we experienced last week. Now we will see two more families that strikes the mind in different core. Even we're talking about the same ingredients, it strikes the mind in a different shape or form. Yeah. Hopefully, anyone that is inspiring to move upwards may be so.
Yes, so whenever we see this knot, Gantha, in any kind of sutta or things, then we know that it means these 4 things in the 3 ultimate reality. Okay, yes, okay, so let's go to another group, Upādāna. Upādāna means clinging or grasping. So upa, this suffix means firmly, very strongly. Adana means the opposite of dana, of giving, is taking.
Adana, the negation of dana, which is taking, non-giving, opposite of giving is taking.
Yes. So firmly taking on something.
Upa,
so
it means
grasping.
great or strongly.
Firmly.
Upa adana, strong non-giving or strong taking.
Yes. Yeah, more than not giving, not that just does not give, it takes.
It takes for itself. So that's why it's strong.
So Upādāna, this group, that is actually when lobha becomes stronger and stronger, it reaches a stage that is called Upādāna. And this Upādāna is actually the strong attachment or strong taking the object, is what is called Upādāna. This is this is like when lobha reached to the stage of Upādāna, then one cannot let go anymore. It's a very strong holding and taking. You cannot let go.
Yes, very deeply. So everything starts with even with the slightest desire, the slightest liking. We like something, later on we desire it, then we desire it so much, and as this image it goes overwhelmed, and then we obsess with it. We just don't like, and we hold it. And if we have it, we don't want it to change, to die, to move, or to be lost. We attach to it, and now the real source of suffering, whenever that thing changes, which is bound to change sooner or later, whatever we have is gonna be left out. The suffering is just awaiting. Suffering, the source of suffering, the greater the attachment, the greater of suffering, and remembering that everything started with liking. I like it, I just like it. Then it just went unnoticed through our sati or mindfulness, and not to say wisdom. Then the problem has already taken root. So this is kind of the description of what we call attachment. Upādāna is the word that the Buddha used, meaning clinging or great taking or great non-giving. For me personally, that translation hits me much more. Adana, non-giving, great non-giving. I don't want to give this. So that part of me, of the etymology of the word, really hits me. It hit me since the first time I listened to it, and I still use it as a tool for practice, remembering the danger of this great, I don't want to give, is mine. So attachment, very serious guy.
Yes, so the strong attachment or strong taking the object, firmly taking this object or firmly not giving the object is called Upādāna.
The smell of attachment is the word mine. That is the smell. That is the characteristic in our day-to-day experience. Whenever the mind says mine, Upādāna is already rolling on my whatever, my thing, my family, my whatever, my idea. That is the sign in our daily me, I, me, mine. Well, different, but mine. This case is mine.
Okay, so there's an example given in the scriptures about Upādāna. The teacher says that Upādāna is like a snake when it catch a mouse and it will never let go again.
Once the mouse
in his mouth, when he hold it, catch it, then it will not let go.
Once the mouse is inside the mouth of the snake will never let go of that. Ever.
That is Upādāna.
Ever. That was the example that the Buddha gave. Oh, a little bit. Our mind does that with the things we are attached to, and often confused with love. Often we say, I love it, but actually the mind is thinking differently. I want it. So, the mind will not release. Also, I get this image, you know, the dogs that fight, these bulldogs, when they catch, or any animal, when they catch their prey, their jaw gets locked. They cannot, even if they want, they cannot release. And I also remember that image whenever thinking about the example of the Buddha. So how do you see my family until here? Everybody okay?
Yeah, it's shocking. I will say, because our minds are moving very often in these sort of behaviors, and it's very easy to clinch or to confuse the perspective of the mind in terms of thinking that we are doing something wholesome,
Yes.
where we are actually doing just the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So wisdom is a very handy tool here to identify and help us observe our mind states and guide us through this confusion.
Yes. Yeah, we do it. I agree. We do it so naturally. It's like, of course, and everybody do. Of course, it's fine. But when the Buddha brings this contrast and these examples, it's like, wow, what is the mind doing? We are so used to it that we do it so naturally. Remember, the spectrum is very wide. It can be small attachment until the passion or the most obsession that a human can have that leads him or her to do wrong. So let's keep in mind this spectrum of experience in terms of attachment. But yes, it is already ingrained in our social and inner fabric already. So just to be aware.
And
yes.
We were just remembering this very short video of a Buddhist nun that is talking about the difference between love and attachment. Mm-hmm. And I think she knows it pretty well. It's very beautiful what she says, like, we confuse love with attachment, yes. But the main difference from her perspective was, like, attachment is, I want you so I can be happy. Mm-hmm. And love is, I want you to be happy, be with or without me.
Very nice. I want you to be happy, or I want you to be happy, either with me or without. Ah, very nice. Can you please send us the link or put it on the chat, on Alice, or later on you can send to, and then we forward to all the group.
Yes, sure.
Thank you. Yes. Anybody else? Something?
Fanatism. Is it possible to include it in this part? Fanatism. The extreme. Yes.
In the previous one, in the attachment to rites and rituals, definitely. And attachment to something, yes, they're in both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, but I think fanatism will refer more to rites and rituals, maybe a little in the previous one, and this one also attachment. How you feel, Don Guillermo?
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. It is that something that you really feel that is yours. You feel that is strongly the truthness of everything. So I hate everyone that contradicts my ideas. So that is a tremendous way of being attached to something, yes. And you feel the only truth everywhere else.
Yes, to the extent of doing wrong to the other one, to the one who thinks different than me, let's kill them. And this is happening unfortunately, is happening today in this planet, in the minds of many human beings, unfortunately. Let's kill the ones who think differently, period. So, very sad. Yes, we're talking about this, yes, Don Guillermo, totally. Since the time of the Buddha existed, all the way until now, and because of differences and racial differences, it just becomes worse and worse, unfortunately.
Yes. Just also one reminder that ideas, we can have all kinds of ideas, no? So it can be either about race, about whatever it may be, but Ditti, most of the time, it refers to ultimate reality, about the truth, no? About true understanding of nature. Yeah, so taking something wrong as the true nature and thinking that the other ones are wrong, in this case, then it goes into this group. But for example, maybe some kind of other ideas or political ideas or this kind of thing, maybe it is another category, strong attachment and hatred, but maybe it does not include into this DT, because DT does not, it has nothing to do with politics and all these other kinds of mundane ideas.
The Buddha was referring to the obstacles to freedom from suffering. That was his aim. Always his aim was freedom from suffering. There are many kind of wrong views in many economics and all this, which will have the same pattern. But he was only focused on the freedom
of the mind,
and the ultimate wisdom and ultimate happiness. So he always focused on that lens.
Yes. So, for example, we all know already that when a person attains Sotapatti Magaphala, the first stage of enlightenment, then ditthi is being removed. Yes. So he has no more ditthi.
No more.
But just another day we talked with Seado, and then he remind us that when a Sotapanna, when a person who has no more ditthi, it does not mean that he perceived everything correctly all the time.
He can make mistakes still.
Yes, because that ditthi is only concerning the Four Noble Truths.
The path.
Concerning the path to the Noble Eightfold Path towards the purification of the mind. About this idea of self,
he has no
idea
doubt
of anicca and whether things are permanent or impermanent, whether things are dukkha or is it sukha. Like in this kind of thing, he has no doubt anymore because he himself saw it. No, but concerning political things, economic things, of course, he can have wrong idea of whatever it may be.
He must still like something.
So that ditthi does not concern this other.
Meaning that even for a Sotapanna, he doesn't get full wisdom as the Sammasambuddha. Only a Sammasambuddha has the full spectrum, or an Arahant is much, much higher. So he still can have this attachment, but not, he already walked the path, the Noble Eightfold Path, and he proved it. Yes, through this path you touch Nibbana, and Nibbana is true. Then that doubt goes out of him because of a fact, not because of an idea anymore. He already tasted Nibbana. He already tasted that which is beyond mind and that which is beyond matter. So he knows it for sure. Now, my dear family, who in this quest, who is going to be our ally? It's going to be facts. Because even for me as a Buddhist monk, I can attach to the Dhamma and says this is the only way, and the other ones, I mean, we will not go never to say that kill the other ones. Yes, fortunately, Buddhism has not done that in the past, like because of you think different, but I mean, human condition is very weird. So we can get that idea. Who is going to be our resource? Factuals, facts. Let's look into nature, direct experience. Look, does dosa and love exist? Yes. Does this makes dosa grow and this makes love grow? Then we apply the thing, because in terms of concepts and ideas, yes, we can be extremist and Buddhist extremist, or whatever can come about because of concept. We need to resort and rely on evidence. What evidence do we have? Put creed and beliefs beside and check facts. I think that will be our only resort, just like scientists. Yes.
Okay, so Cass,
okay.
Let's go with Cass.
Doña Casita levantó la mano.
Yes, I was thinking that it's actually pretty sad to notice that that kind of ideas are the most popular in every culture, like yes. In general, no? Because you learn that since you were a kid, your parents tell you that stuff, school, I don't know, in general, media, so you believe that, and it's kind of difficult to go out of that.
Yes.
And for example, when we are with another perspective, trying to share that, to share this is not that simple because not all people wants to open their eyes to this. And it's
our culture.
A little because I would like to do more about that with my relatives, friends, etc. And it's not simple at all.
Yes, it separates us, and as you said, Casita, it is already ingrained in our culture. In the house of a family member, there used to be, and maybe you've seen it in many houses. It says, "In this house, we don't accept another Catholic." I don't know how it says in Spanish. En esta casa no se acepta algo. I mean, if you look at it, it is a passive, quite passive, but very aggressive statement. It means some kind of human beings, it doesn't matter their humanity, their qualities, or their mentality, or their goodness, or their nature, just because of what they believe in this house, they are not welcome. So how can we not, since we were a child, I mean, it's not to criticize, I'm sorry. Sometimes I go to this and I apologize, but Yes, in our culture it is. In a family member, in my grandmother, that sign was there. So it is already a little bit, if you read it as normal, I mean, what does a baby or a child do with that information? It can, if it takes root, it makes a lot of problem later on, especially if that person continue with that ideas, as we can see in many problems right now happening in the United States and in Latin America. If that way of thinking was unchecked, it takes root and that person reached to power, my goodness. But all these, unfortunately, all these ideas are there. Let's try our best to identify them and take them away from us and not continue to pass them to the next generations. I mean, what an adventure, ladies and gentlemen. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. In our generation, we are seeing such a show. I'm sure our grandparents didn't saw so many things happening, especially 2020. Interesting.
Okay, so Upādāna, let's see, there are 4 kinds of Upādāna. The first one is Kamupādāna. So Kama, clinging to sense desire. Kama is sense desire. So Upādāna, clinging to sense desire. So here we can understand in 2 ways. The first way is clinging to sense desire itself, or sense desire, sense object, sense desire itself is clinging. So we can understand in both ways. So, but basically the meaning is similar. So as we see, sense desire or desire itself is quite serious, or quite, how can we say,
predominant,
predominant,
or how to say, pervasive, and it appears in many of the groupings that we have had, as you see. How to say, what would be the word? It's kind of important in that sense, or dangerous, and it appears it's very sneaky. It knows how to find its way everywhere.
We see that it is also part of asawas. It's part of the floods, it's part of the bond, it's part of the knot, and it is grasping as well. So in all groups, they are there, desire. So, well, in
sense desire is present in all of these families.
In knot, it is abhijja, so all kinds of lova, no? So not specifically sense desire, but sense desire is included. So we can say that lova is as far as we have seen now 5 groups, it's in everything.
So also this, my dear family, starts giving us a sense of why the Buddha mentioned desire so much, because yes, it is, we like it to be, we like it to continue. So it gives all this trouble, and we love it. Generally, we like to like.
Okay, so
especially if it comes from the senses, and it makes sense. Sorry, it makes sense because that's the only reality we have. What else do we have beyond sounds, sights, smells, taste, and physical sensation and thoughts? That's our reality. If we are attached to life, that means the senses. If we are attached to the experience, that means the senses. I mean, it's so close. We experience life through them. So it is just that the Buddha is just pointing, take a look, and let's not take things just for granted. The senses are there, but as we know, the instruction is purify the senses, meaning do not allow lobha, dosa, or moha to grow out of the sensual experience. We can experience even beauty and pleasure, no problem. It's normal, but just take care that the mind does not get polluted. That is the
Okay, so let's go to another one. The second one is Ditthupādāna, a wrong view, which is clinging. So here also we can understand in 2 ways. So Ditti, Upādāna. Ditti, wrong view. So we can understand that wrong view itself is a clinging, or we can understand in another way, which is clinging to wrong
views.
Yes. So for example, like the wrong view of thinking that there is no result, no cause and effect, or everything is just by chance. There are causes but no effect, or there is no causes and no effect, only this life, and after this there is nothing, or
enjoy,
all kinds of this idea. Yes. So clinging to this kind of wrong idea, we can understand it also as Ditthupādāna.
That will be not the idea itself, but worst of it, our attachment to that wrong idea. So if we are attached, or we accept and apply that if I do wrong, nothing happens, then we have so many problems in the world that affect so many of us. Even if it does not affect us directly, the tension, the social tension that is generated by these wrong views, it is perceived and experienced sooner or later, unfortunately, bringing uneasiness, non-happiness to many.
Okay, so repeat here. This Upādāna can be understood in two ways. The wrong view itself is a clinging. So wrong view itself is a clinging, or the clinging to wrong view. So both of them we can understand in both ways. Okay, so this is the second Upādāna, and then let's go and see a little reflection of grasping Upādāna. Do we hold on to things or ideas?
Do we? You're making a question?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I think.
Do we? Everybody,
yeah.
We agree as a family? Do we get attached to our ideas even if they are wrong? Oh,
yeah. So do
painful,
we hold on to things or ideas? Which one is stronger? More to things or more to ideas?
Which attachment is stronger? The one that we have towards our things or the ones we have towards our ideas and beliefs? Ooh. Which one you think?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think, I think idea could be stronger because even the things is the idea that I think this is mine. So that's why it hurts more.
Everything turns into ideas.
Everything is the mind.
I mean, the mind works with ideas only. The mind cannot carry our things. It's just the idea we have about the mind of the thing. Ultimately, we are attached to our ideas only.
And even the things as
yes,
well.
And the things, there's something tricky.
How the things makes us feel, actually.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so just a very little example of even so tiny little...
I have something. If you find somebody who says, I'm not attached to my ideas, make the next question to that person. And let's see,
which question?
The next one. You ask the next question. When you put the toilet paper in your toilet, do you like it to be on the top or in the bottom? And if somebody changes the paper to the opposite side, what happens in your family? Okay, my dear family, ask if somebody have an attachment to their ideas. Here we will prove. This will be the ultimate. So just because of curiosity, who think that the toilet paper should go from the top? Raise your hand.
Like this?
Like the one that has GMM. Who think goes from the top? Caro is saying. So which one think he goes from the bottom? Carito thinks from the bottom. And Casita. Oh, we have a big problem in this household. One is saying, this is the problem. Now we have a real... You need two toilets. You need two toilets, my dear family. My dear family, yes, attachment to ideas really exists.
And so imagine just this simple daily ideas we are attached to. So how about even stronger beliefs and ideas?
Imagine the idea of a different God. Imagine the idea of a different political party or football. People can kill. Imagine if it goes to that extent, or something that affects your own well-being and family, a decision. Wow, my dear family, this is something tricky. Good luck for everybody, especially for Don Alex and Casitas. Good luck, my dear.
I have an idea. You can put the paper like that.
Yes, put the paper like standing, or put two of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that's clinging to wrong view, or wrong view itself is clinging. So that's the Upādāna, the second one.
Wrong view and clinging is very difficult to separate. Very difficult. It is wrong view is actually moha, but it is on the family of lobha because we are attached to our wrong views, definitely. Yeah.
So the third one is sila Upādāna. So clinging to wrong practice. This is the same as last group, the wrong practice, but this time is clinging to that practice.
Don't change
Not just having the idea of a wrong practice, but clinging to that.
Don't tell me difference. I'm practicing right, even if it is not. And I like it and I don't want to change. I will fight for it.
Then we go to the last clinging, that's called Upādānas.
Cinturones, por favor, everybody. We will face some turbulences with this next one.
Upādānas. Atta means soul or self, and then analyzing the words first, then we will understand what it is. Then that means that as atta, we take self or soul. So atta means something permanent or something that has a real substance. So we think the self or the soul is something permanent or something that has a real substance. And wada means a saying or opinion. So upādāna is clinging, so taking firmly. So here it means clinging to the opinion or the idea of
self,
of a self or of a soul.
Soul, alma.
So as we have seen in previous chapters and we have learned already that what we call I or what we call a human being is actually a combination of mind and matter. Yes, so in other words, the 5 aggregates of mind and matter, but we take these 5 aggregates to be me, to be I. Yes. Most of the time we have this idea. So this idea is called atta. Atta wadu, not atta wada, atta wadu padana. So this opinion of atta, there is another name for it in Pali. It's also called Sakaya Ditti. Maybe you have
heard before, I think.
And the idea of the wrong view of self or wrong view of identity. So let's analyze this word a little bit. Sakaya, Kaya. So sa means the existing or with, together with. Kaya means the group, the body group, no? So existing groups here. Ditti, wrong view. So sakaya ditti, literally it means wrong view about the existing groups that are the 5 aggregates, no? The 5 groups. Specifically is the wrong idea that this 5 aggregate is a self
as a
or
self,
as a
yes,
soul.
In this case,
so taking the 5 aggregates to be atta or to be self, or to be a soul, or to be a permanent entity,
yes,
or to be the I, is what is called Sakaya Ditti here.
Yeah.
So these 5 aggregates, just very briefly, we remember that mind and matter, 2 groups, and then mind further divided to Chitta, Cettasika, and if we divide it into a little bit more group, then it is Vijnana, Chitta, the consciousness, Vedana, Sanya, all the other 50 kinds of Cettasikas is called Sankhara, and then Rupa. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these 5 groups are called 5 aggregates, no? So it's actually just mind and matter, but it's division. It's like how detailed we go into division. Like Vijnana, if you further divide, then it is 89 or 121 types, as we have seen. 12 kinds of 12 kinds of akusala, and how many kinds of kusala, how many kinds of ahituka, all these things. So all these vijnana. Then vedana is 1 cettasika, sanya 1 cettasika, sankhara the other 50 cetasikas, then rupa the 28 types of rupa, as we have seen already. No, so it depends on the division that we see. So 5 aggregates, this division we see a lot of times. So actually in this chapter 7, it will also have this category of the aggregates as well. So anyway, here is taking these 5 aggregates to be a self. So wrong view about the existing kaya, the existing 5 aggregates. So in what way? By taking these 5 aggregates, each in 4 wrong ways. So we will now introduce like how we take this aggregate to be what? Like how it is wrong. So the first kind of wrong view, let's take rupa as an example, no? So taking rupa as an example, the first kind of wrong view is thinking rupa as atta or as self or as something permanent, something that has a real substance.
Rupa is me. Rupa is me.
Rupa is me. So rupa equals to I. Rupa equals to atta. So this an example being given is like such as a person that believes or thinks that the flame and the color is one same thing. And so this person, he thinks rupa and atta is one same thing. So rupa and atta is the same. So this is the first kind of wrong view. Now the second kind of wrong view, it takes that rupa is something and atta is something, so they are not the same. The second idea of the second wrong view is that, okay, rupa is rupa, atta is atta, they are different, but then atta has rupa. That means atta possess rupa. Rupa is the possession of atta.
Mi
So this
alma posee este cuerpo. Or
So
something like that.
atta has rupa. So the example given is just like a tree and its shadow. So people think that like the tree possesses the shadow, the tree has the shadow. So the tree, just like tree is atta and the shadow is rupa.
But actually,
So
they are different phenomena.
So, yes, they take it as a different phenomena, but it takes
They
rupa
possess
as
one each other.
As the property of atta. So this is the second wrong view, second idea. So the third kind of wrong view, the third kind of idea, also take rupa as something and atta is something else, but this time is take rupa is inside atta. So atta is the container and rupa is inside that container. So something like that. So the bowl is atta, so rupa is something inside the atta. No? So this is the third idea. So if you think that this is like how, what, and like that, don't worry because this is wrong idea. So we are now explaining of the wrong idea. So if you don't understand, don't think it is okay, then this is totally great.
Actually,
so,
if you don't get it, it's like great. We don't have that idea.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. So because we are explaining what kind of wrong ideas.
The possibilities for wrong idea to develop, but it's not so far. Eh?
Yes.
We think about it as well.
Yes, actually, we also think that there is an atta. No? It's like if we think this body belongs to atta, belongs to the soul or belongs to the self, or this rupa or this body
lives inside the
atta. So atta is something greater.
This one is closer to our way of thinking. Maybe the soul lives inside my body. So people will this one. No,
no.
This is atta. This is rupa. Atta is the big one. Because of my soul, I have this body, and the next one, the soul lives inside the body. I think that one will be closer to what we are more used to.
Yes, or the soul has the body as its property, or this kind of idea. Anyway, all these are wrong ideas, no? Because atta does not exist. So we are explaining how people perceive this wrong.
Yeah, that one is shocking. The body is the property of the soul.
Also, I think this is also not difficult to understand, like because there is a, I think if we analyze this way, like there is a soul, and then this body belongs to the soul or something like that. Well, anyway, so this third one also have another example that the rupa is in atta. So another example given by the teacher is like the scent in the flower. So here is like the flower itself is the atta, and its smell, which is inside the flower, is the rupa. In this case, so we understand it in this way. Another example of the third wrong view.
The smell belongs to the flower, we can say, but actually there are two phenomena that are separated, and that will be the flower will be the atta, and the smell will be like the body.
Yes, they believe that rupa is one phenomena, atta is another phenomena, but actually atta is not a phenomena. It does not exist in ultimate reality.
Yeah.
No? Yeah. Okay, then the fourth kind of wrong view is, as Pante said right now, rupa and atta is something different, but atta is in rupa.
I think this is the most familiar one.
Yeah, atta
my soul lives inside my body. My soul lives inside my body.
So atta is inside rupa. The example given is like a jewel inside a box. So that's the kind of idea. So this is the four kinds of wrong view, four kinds of idea, how we take the five aggregates to be a self, or to be a soul, or to be a permanent entity. No, the first one is that rupa is atta. Rupa and atta is the same thing. The second thing is rupa is the property of atta. So rupa belongs to atta.
Atta has rupa.
Atta has rupa. And the third one is rupa is inside atta. And the other idea is
soul is bigger and the body is inside the soul. And the last one is
atta is inside the rupa.
The soul is inside the body.
Or the self.
Or the self is inside the body. All of them all of these questions are how you say cannot apply, because atta itself cannot be found as a thing existent in nature. So all of these are considered, or the sense of self in all these variations are wrong. The four wrong views.
So just to as a reminder, we are talking about Sakaya Ditti. So how we think these five aggregates is a self. So now we have seen about rupa. So in the same way, we can take Vijnana, consciousness,
Mhm.
Vedana, mental feeling, Sanya, perception, and Sankhara, all the other mental factors
50,
in the
order
same
50.
way. So Vijnana is Atta. Vijnana has Atta.
Vijnana, which is
inside
consciousness, is inside the Atta, and
or Vijnana is inside the self, or like this, no? Or mental feeling is
Vedana.
the self itself, is self. Or mental feeling, Vedana has, or the self has Vedana. Or
Atta has Vedana.
Or the self is inside Vedana, or Vedana is inside the self. So in this way, like with these 5 aggregates, we're taking it in these 4 ideas, makes then total 20 kinds of Sakaya Ditti, 20 kinds of wrong idea of self, or wrong idea of identity. Yeah,
is it clear, my dear family? Clear, no?
Yes.
It's just a little bit like tricky, but if you wish to take a screenshot, this can be a nice visual note.
So these 20 kinds of Sakaya Ditti, of the idea of a self, you can find it in the Samyutta Nikaya, Sutta number 22, paragraph 155. Is this list? This is listed out, and there is another sutta, Majjhima Nikaya, number 44. Chula Vedaya Sutta, the shorter sets of questions and answer, also very interesting sutta. Also explained, one part of that sutta also explained about this wrong idea about self. This Majjhima Nikaya number 44 sutta is interesting. Actually, it is an arahant, a lady, a nun who is an arahant, and her ex-husband, who was already in the 3rd stage of the enlightenment, didn't know whether she attained the arahantship or not, or whether she attained anything or not. So he asked her question just to test her, to see where she was. So he asked her questions, and then she answered all these questions. So this is a conversation. Well, to tell the story a little bit, just that we know what is it. So the man was called Visakha. So, and his wife. So Visakha went to listen to the Buddha, and then in one discourse, and he attained the anagami, the 3rd stage of enlightenment. So when he come home, he tell his wife, "My sister, I cannot live with you anymore, because you see the 3rd stage of enlightenment, there is no more sense desire." So he called his wife, my sister,
Bhagini,
my sister, I cannot live with you anymore. Then his wife was like, "What happened? What did I do wrong? Like, why
you don't want to live with me anymore?"
Then he explained, "Oh no, please don't misunderstand. It's because I listened to the Buddha, and now is and like this, like that. I would like to live alone." And then the wife said, then the husband tell her, "You can take all my properties, and you can marry someone else if you wish, and then it is okay." And then the wife said that, "No, in this case, I also want to know what you know." And then
señoras, así se hace, señoras y señores.
I also want to learn the Buddha's teaching. Then then the husband said, "Very well, I will send you to a nunnery."
Yes.
Then she sent her to a nunnery, and then she became a nun, and then she practiced. Then she already has a lot of parami. She is very wise, and so after some time she became an arahant. So very soon,
more than the husband, yes.
Yeah, so she became an arahant. The husband was in
the
3rd stage, no, anagami. Then she became an arahant, and then very soon she came back to the city. Then the husband was thinking, why she came back to the city so soon? Maybe she got fed up with the life as a nun, or she don't want to live there anymore, or what happened? So okay, I will visit her. So Visakha visit the venerable Dhammadina, the lady arahant,
the wife,
his ex-wife. Then she said, "Venerable Dhammadina, I would like to ask some Dhamma questions." Okay, then he asked a very simple questions. Then she answered perfectly. Then he answered more difficult questions. He asked a more difficult question. Then she answered perfectly. Then she asked and keep asking. Very difficult questions. Then Visakha understood that she has attained the arahantship.
She's arahant already.
And until the end, he asked about Nibbana. Then she explained, and then and then it was funny. Venerable Dhammadina at the end said, Visakha, you ask too much questions. You don't have a measure of how much you should ask. Now you go to the Buddha and ask the Buddha, and whatever he says to you, remember what he said. So she said so to her husband. And so the
lovingly
husband,
with compassion,
Visakha,
just interpreting.
yeah, because
she's
she is
already an
already an
arahant.
arahant. She said, you asked too much. Now you better go and ask.
You better go and practice.
Ask the Buddha. Then so Visakha was very happy, and then go and talk with the Buddha, and then the Buddha said, however Dhammadina has answered your questions, so will I answer exactly the same way.
The Buddha said, in the way she answered you, I would have answered in the same way. She's very kind of giving her the very, very wise. Very beautiful.
Yeah, so very beautiful and also very famous sutta, actually. So interesting. So
interesting
and
take a look. Good to remember, my dear family, because very often people ask, can lay people get enlightened? Yes, they were husband and wife. And he got first enlightened to the third stage. And then also sometimes they can ladies, of course they can. And she got enlightened even with a very refined understanding. For the Buddha to say, I would have explained it the same way. Is very, very good to keep it in mind, because these questions comes very, very often.
And also, there is actually, maybe you have known that there are the Buddha's disciples that are the far most, like the best in what the Buddha gave them special title. Like Venerable Sariputta, he is the best in wisdom.
The highest in wisdom. After him,
Venerable Moggallana, he is the best in abhinyas, in the jhanas and abhinyas. So there are monks and nuns with these titles. So Venerable Dhammadina, this lady Arahant, she has the title of the best Dhamma preacher, lady.
The best Dhamma teacher, lady, female Dhamma teacher.
And then in the male side also, monks and nuns, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. So bhikkhus, there is another person who is the best Dhamma preacher, and for the ladies side, bhikkhuni, it was her.
She was the best explainer. Beautiful.
Yes.
Sadhu. Okay, so you can find it in the Chula Vedala Sutta. Well, the description is there.
Okay, so now let's go back to the Upādāna. So now we understand that taking the 5 aggregates in these 4 ways, taking the 5 aggregates to be a self in these ways, called Sakkaya Ditthi, the wrong view of identity, wrong view of self or soul or as a permanent thing. So for Upādāna, then we have finished the 4 Upādāna as a summary. The clinging to sensual desire, the first one. Then clinging to wrong view, or wrong view itself is a clinging. Then we have the clinging to the wrong practice. And the last one, clinging to the opinion of atta,
self,
of the existence of the self or soul. Okay, so let's go to the ultimate realities. Clinging to sensual desire, easy, no?
Ultimate reality, what do you think? Turn on your mic if you wish. It is lobha, definitely lobha.
Yes, quite easy. Then clinging to wrong view, obvious. Ditthi, no? Yes. Then clinging to wrong practice, Ditthi as well. Then clinging to the idea of a self,
moha.
Also Ditthi, actually. Yes. So
yes, you will include moha. It will definitely include, as we know, all the akusala will be included, but predominantly will be Ditthi.
Because he's holding on to, clinging on to that idea. No? So clinging here, Upādāna is prominent. So the clinging factor is also prominent. So 4 things, 2 ultimate reality here, lobha and Ditthi. So we can remember then the clinging is lobha and Ditthi, these 2 ultimate realities. So just to finish, just to remember the examples, how strong clinging is, as if the snake getting bite on a mouse that will never let go. So when there is clinging, that is the feeling of not letting go of something. So that is Upādāna.
Wow, very seductive as well.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Today we have quite good timing.
Yes.
We almost finished the content.
Finished
with the content, and we still have a few minutes. So
yes, we will leave the next group for next week, because otherwise we stay in the middle. So it's better we stop. So if you have something that you would like to share, then we can or questions or comments, anything.
Comments. What do we
talk a little bit?
We take home? Welcome.
Finish today.
Yes.
I wanted to share that I remember the first time that I heard about this concept of anatta. It was years ago with the Tibetan schools. I don't know how to call it. And for me, it was like, what? Because I grew up in a Catholic family, and they give a lot of respect, something like that, to the soul. So when I heard that, it was like I couldn't understand it, but I was trying, because they give different examples about the pen, or the parts of the car. So I was really like trying to understand, and I constantly have like existential crisis about that, because I was trying, and I just said, okay. I said, okay, I'm not gonna understand it now, but eventually. But when I got into your classes, and the way that Abhidhamma explains it, for me was much more clear, and it made a lot of sense for me. So now it's pretty easy to understand it.
Yes.
Yes, actually, the Abhidhamma teaching is the teaching of anatta, because
this is precisely the aim of it.
It tells you what is mind and what is matter, and how it arises, how they work together, what are their causes. So it is just a natural process. They arise on their own, and then they work their own way. They have their causes. So where is the I? It is just that. It explains everything in detail, how they work, so that we understand that the I do not exist.
That is why the Buddha took the time and energy to show the gears of what we call I, me, or mine. He's saying, look, yes, it is a conceptual level exists. Yes, soul or I, whatever you wish to call it. Well, he never encouraged soul, actually. He just said the I. He just opened the hood of the car, and then you see what you call I is actually all of these things happening. And then you see, of course, there are so many things. In the physical level and in the consciousness level, we can see that actually there is no one thing that can be. The director of the orchestra is not there, and science, neuroscientific research also proves that there is no part, as we know, I'm sure, there is no part in the brain that is guiding the whole process of seeing or recognizing and thinking. Actually, it's the working of many parts, and nature just works in that way, so we can see it closer. And this is the precise why. That's why the Buddha came, and we are now understanding it at a conceptual level still. But definitely when we realize it, to really see it, yes, there is nothing, that will be the beginning of our enlightenment process. The Sotapanna, that's the first thing that the Sotapanna will see. Yeah.
Because also, I was just finishing my career in psychology, and that's the basis of it. So I was like,
what to do? Where do I put all this? No way.
It was so confusing. I was so confused, but I still liked it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait till I kind of get it, and now it's way better. So thank you.
Sadhu. Where do I put the self and the conscious and the unconscious? Now where do I put them? Now we know Bhavanga or Javana. We know what is doing with very refined detail. Yes, sadhu. May we realize it in experience and be very happy to come back home and says, my dear friends, now
I cannot live with you anymore.
I cannot live here anymore. We will, I mean, not because of that. Don't worry. Still can. But I mean, to tell all of us, some understanding has occurred. Wow, we would say big sadhu for all of us. Yes, thank you, Casita. Somebody else, what do we keep home? Yes, Don Guillermo, so welcome.
The so-called superiority and inferiority complex are included with this distortion of yourself, which will become deity of the perception you have of yourself, who feels upper, down, or lower self-esteem. People that has that lack of self-esteem. How do you consider it from this point of view?
I think that Don Guillermazo is related, but it will be more related, and we are now agreeing onto the ingredient of mana, which will be a sense of self, ego, the comparison with others. So as long as a human being compares, It doesn't matter if it compares looking up or it compares looking down. The proximate cause of mana is comparison. So if our mind have the habit of being comparing oneself with other, is the beginning of ego, the beginning of problems. So the sense of self, lack of worth or overestimation of oneself will come because of a wrong view about reality. Then that it will come to support on it. We will be attaching, of course, the ego always generally will tend to try to portray himself or herself in a better light than others. Like, I'm more smarter, faster, whatever. It will only go, even if it has no correlation with reality. So lying will come up, deceiving will come up, and the wrong view will be still, because the wrong view will be supporting that comparison, because in the beginning, I think that I am a self. I am a soul. I am an individual who will perdure towards in existence, or whatever wrong view we have, that will just come and make it worse, because we will fight for life to fight whoever is against my soul or the soul in itself. I mean, wrong view will just make it worse, but actually it will be the comparison of man.
Yes, and DT again, just to as a reminder, DT concerns the reality, concerns reality. So it concerns about taking, like what we see today, Sakaya DT, taking the 5 aggregates to be a self. So that is one kind of wrong view, or thinking this Sakaya DT, no, or thinking that there is no cause and effect, and all these
Wrong
kinds
view.
of those are wrong view. Or whatever I do doesn't matter. Or
Denying karma, for example.
Everything is just by chance. There is no cause, there is no effect. All this kind of idea concerning reality is what is called wrong view. Now, mana, what we have just said is the comparison one with the other. Whether a person compares like I'm better, the other one is not so good, or he is better, I am not so good, or whatever. This is another mental concomitant, mental factors. You remember in the 8 kind of Lobha Mula Chittas, just as a reminder, Titi and Mana, they never come together, because wrong view is very strong. Mana, the pride or proud, being proud is also very strong. The Buddha described it like two lions. The 2 lions never live in one same cave. So in one same chitta, the Diti and the Mana, they cannot arise together.
They come closely together, but don't together.
When there is Diti, and there is no mana. When there is mana, there is no DT, because they are too strong, and their object is different. When there is DT, what the DT is holding on to is his idea, is his own idea about the self, or about the he's thinking about the idea, no? But mana, when his comparison, his idea is comparing the other person.
He's looking onto the other one. The object is different.
The other person. So he's not holding on to his idea. He's holding on to comparing with other person.
The obsession that humans can have.
Yeah,
now, Don Guillermo, so something important. Now we saw the kind of the bones of the situation. Now let's go to the practical terms. In case you have, maybe you ask this question because you have contact with somebody who may be displaying either superiority or inferiority. Tools that Sayadaw Tejaniya gave, which is golden. Sayadaw Tejaniya says, in order to avoid falling into the trap of I am greater than the others, or I am lower than the others, into praise and blame, Sayadaw gave the simple instruction to avoid both situations. He says, know yourself well. So when somebody comes and tells you that you are worthless, I mean, whoever comes, somebody comes and blame and say you are worthless, this and that, know yourself and know the goodness inside you. How much good you have done and the possibility of doing good. In that sense, your mind will never fall into falling prey or feeling lower than anybody, because you know yourself. Now, if somebody else comes and blame you, and somebody comes and praise you, Sayadaw Tejaniya gives the same instruction. Know thyself well. Know yourself well. So when somebody comes and prays, even the ego likes to hear it more and would like to live surrounded by these beautiful words. Remember all your akusala, how you still have ignorance, how you still have negativity. Sometimes we get angry, sometimes feel desire, attachment, etc. So the mind will not be shaken and fallen prey of the guilt or the low putting. Even if a bully comes on top, our morality makes us stand up, and in the other sense, our knowing ourselves, our shortcomings will keep our mind humble, saying, yes, I know, thank you very much for what you think about what you perceive of me, which is only external. Who knows? Who knows the mind inside? But I know how negative this mind can be, or in the other side.
Seattle said, I know how good I am and I know how bad I am.
So that would be the best. And to top it up, Seattle says, practice morality, and may that be your spinal cord, not what other people think about you. If we care too much about what people think about us, we will get crazy, because everybody has a different idea of how you should be, or a monk should be, whatever. And unbelievably, Seattle says, you won't believe, and it has happened, I think, to all of us. The same person who used to praise you might be the person who blames you. Why? Because based on their praise, they develop an unrealistic view about you. And this happens a lot of being a monk. You can't believe, oh, the monk's always happy, the monk's always peaceful. Really, really. And then they develop a very magnificent, beautiful, and then later on, whenever they see something characteristic, which is just human, immediately from being on top, goes to the bottom, and then blaming comes. So now, teacher gave us this warning: beware. This happens between human minds, and we also do it. So, in short, teacher says, make your base your morality. You know you do good. You don't need, your actions will speak, and you know how bad your mind can be, and you are dealing with it because you are conscious about it. Keep mindfulness, and you know your good and your bad. May you rest in your morality. That is the only yardstick that a human being can measure him or himself. Not socially, not economically, not family or position, whatever, politically, nothing counts. And the Buddha was very clear about it. Whatever makes a person great is what is the greatness of their mind. Or whatever makes a person low is the lowness of their mind. So know ourselves, and let's base on morality. That's the two instructions that the teachers give, and we are free from all this roller coaster of a high and down. How do you feel, Don Guillermo?
Very, very positive and very surprising answer to this great problem we all human mind do we have. It's very frequently that people feels up or down and do not concentrate in their inner knowledge of themselves, more virtually in the consciousness of being good or bad, whatever you know, but is knowing yourself. I just want to compliment what can we say about sports, because sports is comparison, it's competition, it's comparing each other. So it means that from this point of view, we shall not compete in sports, so we shall not promote sports, because that precisely provokes this kind of ego management of your life in comparing with other people. Is that true?
Yeah, well, it's part of the world. We must know, for example, that can be applied to business. But actually, a business in the world without competition, it makes no sense, that race, because everybody is part of the world. That's why we need to separate lay behavior, and where business and sport is totally on it, because it's veiled, because it's on that, but we know it's lay behavior. That's why they only keep the 5 precepts: not killing. You can do sports and business as long as you don't kill, you don't lie, you don't cheat, and you don't steal. No, we know, and intoxicate yourself. Then if somebody else, let's make the difference. If somebody else wishes to bring the capacities of their inner cultivation higher, then some of these activities is not suitable for them. For example, an anagarika or a monk or a nun. That's why monks cannot make business. Some of the rules for monk or sports, monks cannot, because it will include competition. As long as there is a winner can only be one. And generally, there are more losers than winners. Always suffering will come, either ego from the winner or suffering from the loser. So that thing is not advised for somebody, like a monk or a nun, to be doing, because that is kind of worldly behavior, which in the worldly behavior, as we know, it's fine as long as we don't hurt anybody.
Yes, I also think that for the people who decided to dedicate himself to the practice, then not only just because of the competition or the other thing, then if he decided to dedicate, then he should do what is beneficial for the cultivation of the mind and for that purpose, no? So doing business or doing sports in this case, of course he do exercise to keep himself healthy, but I mean training to become a sportsman is not his purpose, because that is not his goal, no? So his goal is to cultivate the mind. So he only dedicate to do whatever activities that is towards that goal.
The competition of good and evil happening in his or her own mind will be enough. He will not need to go outside. So he will have enough fun internally. So yes, it's just Don Guillermo, so just to redefine and be clear about lay ways and activities, which is perfectly as long as we don't hurt, and somebody else who wish. Then your question going, if your question started, if somebody wishes to cultivate the good qualities, yes, we need to take comparison and competition away, because that leads to winning and losing, to ego. So definitely, and it's not because of not doing or the activity is wrong. Neither business is wrong, neither sports is wrong. But what kind of mental qualities are reinforced by that activity? Then the Buddha comes and says, yes, these kind of activities will not serve you for humility and deeper wisdom, because wisdom needs this kind of, competition generally brings agitation. Have you felt before a competition, you feel like, this kind of agitation won't bring us to equanimity. So that's why the Buddha says, you choose, you want lay life or inner cultivation. The choice is open, my dear family. And I think we close for today.
I think almost time. Caro, you want to say something?
Doña Carito,
no?
welcome.
Okay.
In Spanish also, in any way.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so then let's close today.
Yes, anything that stays for the next week, we keep, or if you wish to send a question or comment, everybody fine? Everybody fine?
Somebody wants to say something
Everybody,
else.
somebody else? Yeah, everybody fine?
Okay. Yeah.
Don Guillermo, tutto bene? Tutto bene.
Very
Okay, my dear.
very good.
To close with the practice we did in beginning this session, and I think it wraps up very beautiful what we were seeing now with Guillermo. Let's focus on our goodness. So let's remember to close today. I will suggest this practice every day, so that will keep us really charged and honest with ourselves, recognizing our potentiality to do good, to be generous, to study, to understand, and to support others, to be altruistic. Let's remember it with joy. And this time please recall that all the time that you can remember and master right now, that you have helped somebody else, be it your family, a friend, or somebody you don't know. Let's keep it inside. Let's rejoice in it and put abono, how you say it? Fertilizer on these seeds. Recognize that we can do good, and in general, my dear family, I think we are good human beings. If we are already trying to cultivate, we can rejoice in it. We must keep it present, and may the fruits of our goodness be beneficial to our parents. May they be truly benefited by the fruits of our goodness, of our study, of our mental stability and morality. May our children and grandchildren be benefited by our goodness. May our friends, family, people we know, people we don't know, including the people we have had difficulties in the past. May all beings, regardless their species, be benefited. We offer the fruits of our goodness to all beings. May all beings be well, physically and mentally. Idano punyam sabasatanam pajimam. Idano punyam sabasatanam pajimam. Idano punyam sabasatanam pajimam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Amya, 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 amya. Yo mucha baguro. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Alo chachabamya, amya, amya, amya. Yo mucha baguro. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Alo chachabamya, amya, amya, amya. Guru, mucha paz, Guru. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We share especially with those people who suffer more than us, which is many. May all of us be free. We are good people, and let's do more. More to come today and tomorrow. Thank you, my dear family.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good
and see you
night.
next Sunday.
Sweet dreams. Let's rejoice in our good actions. More to come. Thank you.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Have a great week.
Thank you. Abrazotes.